Okay. So I'm doing the call tonight on Content 101 or creating content. This call is recorded, so if you are either missing the first half or jumping in late to watch, that's I am gonna let you guys know that I am not telling any secrets here. I'm not sharing anything that's not already been shared by some other coach at some other point. So my secrets really aren't big secrets. You can see to the left is just a few of the pictures that I've created or posted. This call was requested because one of my downline coaches wanted a call on how I make my pictures so pretty and how I know what to post and when to post and things like that. So I'm going to cover what to talk about when you post, how to make your pictures look better, some apps you can use, and then when you should post. And then there's also a few content examples in here. Oh, I got to click it. Bear with me. I don't normally make slides. So we want to know what should I talk about. So the first question I'll ask any coach when you're like, I don't know what to post about. Well, do you know your story? If you know your story, you know where you come from, and that helps you decide who you're reaching out to as well. For me, my story is that I was 22 and completely broke. I had just had a daughter. Well, my daughter was 1 at the time. I just had her a year ago. I was at her first birthday party, and people they would come up to me and be like, what did mommy and daddy buy Bella for her birthday? Well, the answer was we didn't buy her anything because we couldn't afford to. We paid $25 that we had in our pockets to have the party at a pavilion at a park, and I bought her birthday cake and ice cream with my food stamps. That year I decided that enough was enough, and I couldn't do that anymore. I couldn't be that broke. I couldn't be that helpless, and I was unhappy with myself and the way I looked. I didn't want to take pictures with my family. I didn't want anything to do with being in front of a camera. In fact, I've gone back and tried to find transformation pictures, and I can't find them because I didn't take any from back then. So if you know your story, then you have something to talk about, because you should be breadcrumbing that in every little post, or not in every post, but at least once a day. Part of your story should filter through into one of your posts. Are you in tune with your why? So do you know what you're really digging for? I wrote a whole blog post based on a call that I heard a while back about the 8 steps it is to dig into your why. And what you really need to do is say, what is my why? And then say, well, why is that my why? And you keep asking yourself why 8 different times over, essentially, and it eventually gets into this deep down, gut-wrenching, heart-stroking thing that you finally understand, well, this is why I'm doing this. So for me, I'm doing this because I could not stand the thought of not buying my daughter a birthday gift. And that's because when I was growing up, I grew up broke. My parents, they raised me the best they could, God bless them, but we were broke. At the age of 13, my parents decided to have us move in with my grandma and grandpa because they couldn't afford for us to live with them. So we moved in with my grandparents so that somebody could feed us and raise us, because our parents were either, my dad was a drug addict and alcoholic, and my mom, she supported him. She worked 2 jobs so he could feed his addictions, and there was no room left for me and my sister in between. So I don't want my daughter to grow up with that kind of lifestyle. I know why I'm working this business. You have to know why you're working this business when you're thinking about what you should talk about. Lindsay Matway says you should have 5 things that you post about. My 5 things, if I've got to pick 5, I say family, fitness, fun, faith, and freedom. But you don't have to have 5 things. Jessica Pesola, she posts hope, health, and heart. Hope is her faith and how she's leading people to Jesus every day. Health is her business and her fitness journey. Hope also covers her business, and heart is her son and her husband. You don't have to have 5, but when Lindsay suggests 5, because the idea is that if you have 5 different topics to post about, your newsfeed isn't going to be all beach body, beach body, beach body. You're going to rotate through some of that stuff. So that's just some kind of beginner information about it. But if you haven't picked 5 things, or at least a few things that you can relate to outside of Beachbody, then I would really suggest doing so, because if you're not having other things besides Beachbody, your newsfeed is filtrated with that, and people are like, oh my gosh, why will this chick not quit talking about this thing? And so people just want to see they want to see you, and your 5 things make you. So welcome to selfie school. I post a picture with almost every single one of my posts. It's very rare that I don't post a picture or post a picture of myself. My dad calls it conceited, but it's just self-love, in my opinion. So the reason you should take a selfie, honestly, is because, or any picture to put with your post, is because Facebook has this algorithm where they decide whether people like more of your text posts, they like more of your photo posts. And if a person likes more of your photo posts, they're going to put your photo posts up in the feed for that person more to see it. In my experience, people like my photo posts more than they like my plain text posts. So I add a photo. The thing about selfies is that, first of all, you need to have good lighting. It sounds silly, but when you take a dark selfie and people got to like get up on the camera to squint to see what they're looking at, they don't want to see that. They just might as well scroll past it. And the point in your picture is to make people stop and think, well, dang, look at this chick. So have some good lighting. And even if you don't, we'll talk about that later, but really try, be under a lamp. If you have a window in your apartment or your house, take a selfie next to a window. Just add some new lighting fixtures. Go buy, I have like a cheap $10 lamp from Walmart that I put in my living room to have a little more light in there. You can also use selfie sticks. I use them, if you look at my post in the top left, I used a selfie stick for that picture to get me and my sink because my arms were just not long enough to cover all that area. So I used a selfie stick. It's a really cool little tool to have, and I like to use it. Smile. I think that this kind of should go unstated, but a lot of people, there's so many selfies out there where people have taken selfies and they don't smile at all, and people, they're not attracted to those posts. If you look at my post in the top right, I didn't smile for that one, and I'll tell you, that's the post that got no traction. I got some likes, but it was not as big as the other posts that I have posted. And then, so I already kind of covered when you should add a selfie is to any post. If you're typing up something and you don't have a picture to go with it, add a selfie. It doesn't always need to look pretty. It doesn't always need to be something extravagant. Just a picture will be just fine. It's just something that selfies and pictures get people to stop scrolling and look. And that's what the game is to get people to stop scrolling and to look. So this is what I was specifically asked about, how I make it pretty. So this is how I make my post a scroll stopper. I have a few different apps I used, and Svlana just did a call not long ago about the apps she uses. So I use some of the same apps she does, and actually a couple of them are on her recommendation. So Rona and Rona Collage, I haven't used the collage as much, but I do use it occasionally. The picture right below it, Shoes Are a Girl's Best Friend, that is a Rona post I got on there. I added the words and the little stars. You can add text from Rona. You can add little overlays like pictures, graphics. They have some instant sayings that you can just kind of plop on a picture and change the color. It's really a nice app. And that post was referring to my business, me being able to go out and just buy my daughter a pair of shoes when normally a year ago, 2 years ago, that was not an option for me. The old me would have had to say, I just don't have the money to go and buy you new shoes today. And the new me, the business me, the mompreneur me is saying, hey, I've got my Beachbody check, so let's go out and buy new shoes because we've got it now. So it doesn't always need to be a picture of you to show how your business has changed your life, because sometimes, like for me, my business not only changes my life, but it changes her life. Word swag is really good. I like that because you can either type in your own saying and pop it in there, or they have some pre-generated ones you can pop in there. Word swag is something I use if it's like I need something really quick and I don't have time to get into Rana and add all the designs. The biggest thing is I do not use PicMonkey that much. I work full-time. I go to school full-time. I have 2 little girls, a husband. I have a life. I love Beachbody, but I have a life. I do not get on the computer almost. This is like the first time I've been on the computer legitimately in like 2 weeks. So I really don't use PicMonkey, though it is a very, very good tool. I used it to make the PowerPoint, and that's about it. Pick, Play, Post I use. You can't, I couldn't put it in the PowerPoint, but I use Pick, Play, Post to post a still frame, and you can post a video at the same time. So that's a really good app to have if you're trying to post like a post-workout sweaty selfie along with a video of the workout move you just did. And then Afterlight is really, was recommended to me by my friend Megan Werpy. And I really love this app because it's allowing you to, if you have bad lighting, to change your lighting, essentially. It uses, it asks you to change your contrast or your brightness or the shadowing. So you can change the lighting of a picture with Afterlight, and it looks like you had like the best light, but you didn't. So this is just from Afterlight. On the left is what the picture looked like before I played with it in Afterlight. It was dark. I mean, there was some sun you could see on the back, but when I'm taking my selfie on my bed, the sun from the window really doesn't help me too much. So I played with it in Afterlight and brightened it up a little bit to make it more visible so people could see what I was talking about. So here are some post examples. I use mostly mine because this is, you know, my PowerPoint, and I didn't really want to step on any of the coaches' toes. So this was my one from this morning. It said, I've been taking a lot of selfies on my bed lately. When I moved to North Carolina 6 years ago, I bought this shirt at the mall with some friends. I literally bought it because I wanted to fit into something from Abercrombie. It didn't really fit. I literally noticed every fat roll. 6 years later, I put it on and I feel good about it, and it fits better than it ever did. I didn't have a call to action because you don't always need one. If you've read the book Jab, 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 Right Hook, sometimes it's better to just throw your jabs. Throw some punches before making your right hook. It just shows that I'm working on myself every day. So, you know, my story is I wanted to fit stuff from Abercrombie because, you know, you grow up and you see all these preppy, popular girls wearing Abercrombie, and when I was growing up, I was the fat girl. I did not fit things at Abercrombie. I was lucky if I fit things at American Eagle. So this for me was something that, you know, is a way to breadcrumb my story, but also relate to people who were like me. This is a post that has nothing to do with Beachbody. It's just being, you know, our job as coaches is to inspire people, to show them that we're human, to help them understand that we understand where they're at because we're there too. So I was reading a book called Simply Tuesday. If you haven't read it, I totally recommend it. It's by Emily P. Freeman. It's amazing. But it says, if Colossians is true, then Christ comes before all things, and in him all things hold together, including me. I admitted that I had a bad day, and even in the midst, God is speaking to my heart. Even in my bad day, he holds all things together, even me. So nothing about Beachbody. That's me talking about my faith and showing that, hey, I'm a real person. I struggled today, and I want you to see that I'm where you're at, but it doesn't, you know, I shared I had a bad day. And honestly, a lot of people reach out from that, and they're like, hey, I'm sorry you had a bad day. I just want you to know I'm thinking about you. And it's little things like that that kind of make what we do count. These are two of my coaches, not my coaches, but fellow coaches who I love and adore completely. Whitney Norvold, she is so great at sharing her life on social media. She's so great about being open about her business, her faith, her fitness, where she struggles and things like that. this post that she posted was all about her personal development she got. But it also said, hey, we're having a challenge group coming up that is going to be a faith and fitness group. And we're going to talk about hearing from God. And if that's your thing, let me know. But it was not so in your face that people wanted to click right past it. And this bottom one here is my friend Megan Werpy. Love her to death too. She actually did this post back in 2014. She's so good at speaking to people, not only in her target market, but people who, she speaks to them in a subtle way. So she was making her Shakeology. She said nothing about Shakeology, nothing, but she had a bag of it in the cupboard. And she was making it with some PB2, and the whole post was about if anybody had ever tried powdered peanut butter. But she had some questions about Shakeology and what she was making from that. She talked to people about whether they use a blender or a shaker bottle. She had so many conversations come just from talking about some powdered peanut butter without being in your face. This one is a post that I posted a few weeks ago. It was not an invite to my faith and fitness group, but it was it was me being honest, saying that I wasn't sure that I was qualified to lead this kind of a group, and that my friend Whitney had decided to jump in with me and recharged my spirit and made me feel better about it. So just another post where I'm saying, hey, I'm not qualified to be a coach, but I'm showing up and I'm doing it. This is another I'm not qualified to be a coach post. I wasn't qualified, and I was just saying, coaches are not perfect. We are not people who never fail. We're not people who are better than everyone else. And I'm sorry if you've met somebody that feels that way, but we're normal, everyday people that want to be healthy. We're passing on that blessing, and we're helping other people realize their full potential. The point in this post, again, was not to be pushy, but I didn't add any, not all of your pictures have to have that fluffy, pretty stuff on them. You can make an effective post with a selfie, just a selfie. So when should I post? So we just talked about all of these posts that, okay, how do I make them pretty? What am I posting? Well, obviously you could see through those other posts that I breadcrumbed my story a lot of the time. I posted little things about how I felt about coaching, or how it fits into my life, how it's changed my life, how I felt like I wasn't qualified to do this, but I am qualified because I don't need a degree to be a coach, or just little things like that. In my own way, I answer the questions that I had when I thought about joining as a coach. But you usually don't know what questions to answer if you don't know who your target market is. So what you need to do is sit down and decide, who is my target market? In the Girl Boss Dynasty group, Katie has a very, very good printout that you can print out, and you can give your person a name. You can decide what their fears are, what their ambitions are, what kind of blogs they like. It's a great form to fill out because essentially your target market is you. They're afraid of what you were afraid of when you joined. Their worries are your worries. Their life is your life. So my target market is somebody between the ages of 22 and 30. They have a daughter. They probably have a stepchild, or they at least have some biological and stepchildren. They are either married to or engaged to their significant other. They are working, busy moms that are looking for something better. I know who my target market is because I've sat down and I've done that activity. And it so helps you. When you narrow down who you're talking to, you know what to put in your posts. Because if you're just talking to the mom that just had to rush her daughter to daycare to drop her off by 8 o'clock on the dot so that you can be to work by 8:05 and not be considered late, and then have to run around work all day, you're in and out of the office, you're hoping that you might just get a lunch break today or even get 5 seconds to grab a bag of chips for the love of God, and then you got to rush out and get the baby from daycare, maybe take her to a doctor's appointment. She wants to go to the park, but you just don't have time because you still have to work out, and how in the heck are you going to get dinner on the table on time? That's who I talk to when I post, because that's me. So I highly recommend sitting down and doing that activity. So once you know who your market is, figuring out when to post is easy. Before you were a coach, what time were you on Facebook? For me, I was on before my kids got up. I was just scrolling my newsfeed, waiting for them to wake up, or I'd get on after they went to bed, and I might check on lunch break. It's going to take some playing around with to figure out when you'll get the most traction on your posts. So Janelle Summers suggests starting out, try 9, noon, and 9, because that's usually most people are getting up and getting their day started, and at noon is lunch break, and then 9 p.m. people are laying down and getting ready to go to bed. So it's always, those seem like good times. For me, I know that my target market is up and scrolling between 6 and 8 because we've got to be to work for first shift. I know that my target market is usually scrolling around noon, and I know that I get better traction on my posts between 7 and 8 at night because that's when my target market scrolls. So it takes some playing around with, it takes knowing who your target market is and trying to remember that at one time you were not a coach. At one time you were not scrolling Facebook every 5 minutes hoping that somebody liked this post. So realize that there's people that are just like you, that they're not scrolling every 5 minutes either. I'm going to stop sharing. That is, oh, okay, there it goes. That is pretty much my call. I also just want to plug this book in there. I'm actually rereading it right now. I tried to read it last year, and I wasn't ready for it, I guess. When I was trying to read it, I really skipped over a lot of it, a lot of the examples, and I didn't understand why they worked or didn't work. So I'm reading it now, and it actually makes a lot more sense to me. So jab, 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 right hook. It talks about how to create meaningful content, how to reach out to the people who need what you have to offer, and basically when to throw your jabs and when to throw your right hooks. So the idea is jab, 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 right hook, or give, 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 and then you ask. So give, 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 ask. What you're doing is you're giving free information. Give a food tip. Give a little piece of your story. Share a recipe. Give people something a few times during the week, and then ask them to join your challenge group. Ask them to check out coaching. And if they say no, one of the best things I've noticed is to keep your follow-up conversation going. Once they say no, don't make that the end of the discussion, because then they'll think you only want to be talking to them if they're going to join your team. And that's not the case. We just want to show people we actually care.